Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope that you are having an amazing weekend and that you are getting geared up for an amazing week. I am Haley Gray. I'm the group owner in the Women's Entrepreneur Network. I am a social media expert. I am a Facebook certified community manager. And my business is Fiercely Marketing, where marketing doesn't have to be a mystery. And we do digital marketing for small businesses, which means we do social media. We do ads management, funnel builds, search engine optimization, and yes, we do fix and clean up a lot of really broken websites and a lot of very broken marketing. Tonight, if you'll give me a hashtag live, if you're on the live, and a hashtag replay, if you're on the replay, it would be wonderful. Just like Meg did here. I appreciate it. Hey, Meg, how are you? I am going to do one of these cards. These are my super attractor cards as a little bit of inspiration as we start this. So this one says, manifesting is a creative process of aligning with the energy of the universe to co-create an experience that elevates my spirit and the spirit of the world. So manifesting is a creative process of aligning with the energy of the universe to co-create an experience that elevates my spirit and the spirit of the world. So tonight, I'm here to say, you get out of your own damn way. How many of us, me included, find ourselves doing things that are maybe being productive, maybe not being productive, but whatever they are creating more work, which is preventing us from doing the things that we need to be doing to make more money in our business? Raise your hand if you've ever done this. One of my absolute favorite ways of procrastinating when I was getting my MBA at Duke, and I'm so glad to hear this, was cleaning bathrooms. I have 5 bathrooms in my house, 2 half baths, 3 full baths. One of them is a Jack and Jill bathroom. And I have 4 kids. And at the time, we had an au pair. So we had 7 people living in our house. And depending on the time of year, we either had a maid or we didn't have a maid. But I would clean the bathrooms to procrastinate and get in my own way. It's amazing some of the things that we can come up with to make ourselves seem productive when we're not really being productive. One of those ways is working on branding to the nth degree, working on our messaging to the nth degree, not wanting to sell anything until everything is absolutely perfect. I can't tell you how many people I have seen allowing perfect to be the enemy of the good. My 17-year-old right now is working on college applications, and I will tell you that the perfect essay is the enemy of him getting his college applications done right now, and it is absolutely killing him. And the amount of brain fog and the amount of head garbage going on is absolutely spectacular, because we tell ourselves that it has to be absolutely perfect before we can put it out there. Or maybe you find yourself doing like true time wasting activities like playing Bejeweled or Candy Crush, watching TV shows. You know, our minds need time off. You know, we need to give ourselves downtime. Like this weekend, today, I took most of the day off because I was working all day yesterday on a website. But, you know, we don't need 4 weeks in a row most of the time unless we are completely burned out, right? Yeah. Here's another one, scrolling on Facebook and getting lost when you should be posting. Exactly, right? How many of us scroll on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter and we're just scrolling, and you go on with the intention of posting, and you go on with that intention of getting something done or starting a conversation with somebody or following up, and you look up and it's been 3 hours, right? And this is one of the biggest challenges, I would say, with doing business on the internet, is because we have all of these things popping up and going. We have people doing Facebook Lives, we have people's stories, we have pictures, we have memes. Oh my gosh, right now we have got political stuff out the wazoo. And if that doesn't hit everybody's hot button, I don't know what does. The Facebook time suck, right? You hop on for a minute and you're on here for 5 hours. And you can't even point at what you did for the 5 hours. And for me, it's even worse because I'm a Facebook group owner and I manage not just this group, but I manage other people's groups. I manage other people's social media. And I will tell you, it is one of the hardest things, right? You know, what about, oh, you know, I don't have the perfect hair. Y'all, if you saw what my hair is doing today, you'd understand the I don't have the perfect hair, you know, or my makeup's not perfect today, or, you know, I need to lose some weight. Some of y'all know my story. When I first started doing lives a few years ago, I was almost 400 pounds. Before I started my bariatric journey, a couple of years ago, I was at 427 pounds. It's been almost exactly 2 years since I was at that high weight. And, you know, it was a really good reason for me to not do things, right? Unfortunately, they're all just reasons. They're all just excuses. And they're preventing us from making money. They're preventing us from doing things in our business. The other one that I see a lot of times with people is, I don't have the right software. Thank you. I appreciate your compliments. Thank you so much. You know, it is really challenging to get all of the right software. One of the things that I see happen a lot with people who are in the digital marketing environment, who have businesses in the online world, is that we have that shiny object syndrome. And we're constantly convincing ourselves that we can't do something in our business because we don't have the right software to do it. Now, there are certain points where that is absolutely the case. But you would be amazed at what you can do with Google Drive, which is free, and Google Sheets, which are spreadsheets. You can do a lot of income projections. You can do a ton of accounting. You can do all this stuff. But how many times have we said, hey, I can't do this because I don't have the right software to do it? I have a person right now that we are working on bringing on as a client. And you know, this is a typical thing. This is not just one person, unfortunately. You run into the, well, here, let me investigate every single piece of software out there before I make a decision. Maybe I need to interject all of this complexity into my project. Unfortunately, most of us don't need all of this complexity in our projects. We don't need to add all of this extra software. We don't need all of this stuff in our businesses, right? But it's an awesome way to get in our own ways because we're telling ourselves, oh, well, if I just had the right hair, if I just had the right look, if my bathrooms were clean, I need to cook dinner for the kids. Of course I need to cook dinner for the kids, right? One of the biggest time sucks that I've messed with in the last few months, some of y'all know it, but I've managed to keep it mostly behaving on weekends, is making sourdough cinnamon rolls. How many people here started baking when we got locked down for COVID? We started baking sourdough cinnamon rolls. My son and I did. And we've made like 4,000 cinnamon rolls. Fortunately, he actually does most of the mixing. I just do the rolling out and the cutting and putting them in the pans, although lately he's been doing all of it. But, you know, baking and cooking can be another really awesome source of procrastination, another really great way of getting in our own way. Another fantastic way that we get in our ways is making our business much more complex than it needs to be. And that is really, really hard because we keep adding all of these different layers and different things. And we look at the, you know, these really big names out there that have, you know, like 26,000 different revenue streams. And we're going, oh my gosh, I need to do all of this in my business at once. And unfortunately, or fortunately, you actually don't. You only need to do one thing at once, one thing at a time, and you need to do it exceptionally well. Pick out that one thing and do that one thing exceptionally well. But what we're doing a lot of times is that we're adding all of these lines and ways of making more money to our business. And we have this grandiose dream, so much so that we can never execute on it. And that becomes a problem because we can't see how we're going to get from here to there, because it's such a huge leap that we can't possibly get from point A to point B. One of my core skills is working with people to really simplify the heck out of things and help you figure out how to get from point A to point Z, because I'm kind of the bullshit slayer that way. And I really believe in keeping things simple. You don't need 26 different opt-ins. You don't need 1,000 different things to offer people in your business. And in fact, if you're offering people too many things that you're selling at once, what ends up happening is that you end up losing that focus on what it is that you do and how it is that you do it. It's an amazing way that we get in our own way. Well, I can't possibly do this one thing because it might scare a potential client away, and I might not make that $1.50 on that one client. Well, unfortunately, what ends up happening is that you end up scaring away all of your clients, or you never get out of your way in the first place, and you never start doing the marketing, and you never start doing the sales. And I have a cat under my feet. So you can expect that I will be catted here shortly. But, you know, it's all of these things that we do, all of these reasons we keep creating. Right now, we even have more reasons than usual because, you know, our kids are homeschooling in a lot of cases, or, you know, doing virtual school. And in many cases, you know, that means that parents are essentially homeschooling their kids. They're having to stay on top of them in a way that they've never had to do, which is taking hours and hours and hours away from our businesses, right? So how are we supposed to have a business? How are we supposed to be good at what we're doing if we can't even do our business because we're taking care of the kids all the time? And I know for most of us, we figured that once kids were out of preschool and we got them into elementary school, this would be a thing of the past. And then this year, that has definitely not been the case. So it's a huge amount of challenge because then we're trying to overcome these things. Another thing I see with a lot of people is that when we hit challenges in our life, we put the challenge as a reason that we can't possibly do our business or do well in our business. And I've done that. When my daughter first had her traumatic brain injury, and yeah, it makes it very hard to focus, right? When my daughter first fell off the horse 5 years ago, you know, we were at the hospital every single day. And it's really hard to focus on a job, life, business, anything if you're, you know, at the hospital 24/7. And my husband and I were taking turns and shifts and basically covering 16 to 18 hours a day with her at the hospital for the first round of hospitalization. The second round of hospitalization, she was in a psych unit. So we couldn't visit her all the time, but we were up at the hospital 2 and 3 times a day. Every time there was a visiting slot, we were over there. Mind you, over there meant Chapel Hill. We live in Cary. It's a 45-minute drive each way, which means the round trip timing is 2 to 3 hours, just based on the amount of time it takes to drive from here to there, to park, to go into UNC Hospital, because you have to walk to get in. You have to put all your stuff away. You have to get past the hospital. And the list goes on, right? So we did this for months and months and months. She was hospitalized 7 weeks that second time. And I will tell you, I'll be honest, it absolutely devastated my business. It destroyed my business. When you are in that situation that you have disaster happening, you know, I allowed that disaster to take over my entire life. And I allowed that disaster to take over my life so much so that my business, I ended up having to sell my business at a loss. And I had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and it got converted to a 13. And I had to dig myself out of a hella deep hole. I mean, it is literally that kind of nightmare scenario, because my daughter spent months and months and months in the hospital. And, I wish I could say that that was the end of it. She was released from the hospital. She did great and everything was wonderful from then on. That was not the case. As some of you guys that know my story know. So what has ended up happening is she was stable for a few months, for about a year and a half, stable-ish enough that we started looking at going back to school and doing those things. And it happened again. So she became psychotic again. And the second round of it, what I call the second wave, which started about 2.5 years ago now, I decided that there was no way in hell I was going back to where I had been before. And this is stuff that's all public record. If you really want to look it up, you can. It happened. She went psychotic in the middle of me actually doing an online virtual summit launch. And what I decided that next round of hospitalizations, round 2, because she was in the she's basically been in the hospital more than she's been out for the last 2 3/4 years at this point, was that was not going to happen again. I wasn't going to go back into a hole financially. I was going to do my level best to take care of my daughter, but it also meant that I had to make some really, really hard decisions to put my own self first. And if you're doing any kind of math here, you can do the math and realize that my weight topped out. One of my surgeons basically said, well, you're having hernia repair surgery, and if you don't have bariatric surgery too and lose a ton of weight, you're probably going to have recurring hernia surgery. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I didn't have any other comorbidities, which was kind of interesting, despite the fact that I was like well over 400 pounds. I was like right at 427 pounds. But I was like, okay, so it is time for me to put myself first. And that's really hard when you've got a kid, bouncing in and out of the hospital with crazy, crazy frequency. The longest that she was out of the hospital at any time for the last 2.5 years has been 3 months. And the shortest amount of time she's been at home is 16 hours. It is just incredibly traumatic, right? And the family has to go on, and you have to keep a roof over your head, and you have to still keep making an income. And I had made the decision back when this happened a few years ago that I was going to be the parent who was going to deal with our daughter, because I have unique skills in dealing with doctors and dealing with people. So, having trauma going through your life, having, a kid with schizophrenia, having these things happen can absolutely be a reason that we decide to not do well in our businesses. I mean, for me, it's probably a large part of the reason that I am in business. I will tell you at this point, it is a large part of the reason, because I need the flexibility. I need the ability to reschedule a meeting if I need to in order to have a call with a social worker, or to deal with Medicaid, or to deal with Social Security, or whatever the government entity is at the time. And I understand that a normal 9-to-5 job is not going to do it, is not going to cut it. And for me, that involved getting the hell out of my own way, and taking control of my own health. Although there are nights and days, like I have my candy corn. I'm not perfect. I had 3 of those earlier. It's enough to really need to scrape me off the ceiling now. But it's really about deciding and making the decision that you're going to start chipping away at the things that you're putting in front of yourself, not because it's easy, because sometimes it's hella hard. When you have a child who has incredible illnesses that you're dealing with, and, Kelly, I feel for you. It is incredibly hard, right? Or dealing with a parent who's sick, dealing with a child who's sick, dealing with a husband or spouse, or dealing with your own chronic illnesses is hugely difficult. And, that's one of the things that I think is one of the biggest reasons and one of the biggest excuses we give ourselves for not getting out of our own ways. And it's not easy. I wish I could say, yeah, wave a wand and say, hey, this is going to all magically go poof. But no, I mean, unfortunately, one of the things that I had to recognize with my daughter is that this situation with her TBI, with her schizophrenia, is going to be a lifelong issue that I'm going to have to deal with, which means that I had to get my head out of my butt and I had to put myself first in taking care of my daughter. And that was really hard because this is my daughter and I love my daughter. It is like losing your child over and over and over again. I cannot describe the grief that comes with having a kid with these kinds of issues, because it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And yet, I've had to get my head out of my butt and say, okay, we're not going back to where we were 4 years ago. We're not doing that again. We're not going through rock bottom, throwing in the dynamite, chipping through, and keep on digging for the sake of digging when, there are other options out there and there are other decisions, even if it's not easy to see them at the time. And trust me, I know how hard it is to do things with a sick parent. My husband and I were the primary caregivers for his grandmother in 99, right after the birth of our oldest daughter, who is the one with the schizophrenia. We were the primary caregivers of my husband's father in 2007. We were primary caregivers for both of my parents from 2005 till 2013. My mom died in 2011, the week before I started at Duke. She had multiple sclerosis and she had some dementia going on. And we were responsible for her care. She couldn't cook for herself. She couldn't do a lot of things. My parents were still married. My dad had osteoporosis, Parkinson's, and fairly advanced dementia, which meant that I had the delightful experience the night that my mom died of my dad being in the emergency room at the same time, and learning that there's a back hallway between the ICU and the emergency room at Rex Hospital here in Raleigh. And I'm familiar with a lot of these challenges that we have in life. I can't say that mine is better or worse than yours. I can say that I've had a husband who is mostly very supportive of me personally, if never not entirely of my business. That's made a huge difference in my life. So I understand, when we start talking about the get out of your own damn way, it's not because I'm lecturing you on it. I'm sitting here saying, because I've had to deal with almost every single one of these problems myself, trying to do things that are too perfect, getting lost on Facebook. Oh my God, what if it's your freaking job to do things on Facebook and you get lost on Facebook? That's kind of like the crazy kind of life. My job is to do things on Facebook for people, do Facebook ads, work on their social media and work on their Facebook groups. And you're telling me I can't freaking get lost on Facebook? Oh my gosh, right? And it's all of these things. I mean, I've got the methods that you wouldn't believe for procrastination, and it's all a process. I've got every reason in the book. I'm not skinny enough. My hair does crazy things. I can't really wear makeup. Okay, I'm wearing some lip color right now. But at the end of the day, we make a decision to do well in our business or not do well in our business. And I think that that's fundamentally it. Do you prefer to work in a job? Do you prefer to work for somebody else, or do you prefer to work for yourself? In which case you're taking that responsibility of getting your head out of your butt, getting out of your own way, and doing the thing that you need to do in your business right now. It means that it's not going to be perfect. It may never be pretty, and it might be hella ugly at times, because let me tell you, I've had plenty of ugly days in my business, and some of them pretty recently, I might add. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to do a card pull to wrap up tonight's live, and I hope that this has been helpful for y'all. Please do share. I would very much appreciate it. So this is the Love Your Inner Goddess card deck. Let me know which card you would like for me to pull. And I'm pretty sure I know which one Meg would like pulled. Yes. And right now, I understand, moms, I feel bad for moms whose kids are at home who are going bonkers. We pulled my youngest son out of his school in February, and we had to do extensive testing to get him up to grade level. He was over 2 grade levels behind in writing and math. So I feel for everybody because we just spent 6 months doing that before he went to boarding school. So he chose to go to military boarding school. Crazy kid. You want 7. So I'm going to pull 7 for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, that's a new one. I'll come back to you in a second, Patty. Patty, I think you and I have some of the craziest same bad food habits. Patty was like, yeah, I love Bojangles too. And I love candy corn. Okay, so Meg, this is you. And you're welcome. I'm so glad. So Moonchild, you have an opportunity to manifest something that you want very much. The divine wants to bless you with assistance to bring a cherished dream to life. Begin by admitting the true desires of your heart. Then you will need to let go of control as you trust enough to let it happen. You'll know when you are really doing this because you'll feel scared at first. You wonder if it's okay to surrender quite so much. It is. Ask for what you want and need without any shame, guilt, or hesitation. Then relax and allow the universe to do its thing. Okay, so now we're going to go back and do Patty's card. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, Patty, this one's for you. And then if somebody else wants a card pull, please let me know. This is Creatrix. Your soul is a divine creative fire. She wants you to break free from what has been and give life to something new. You may experience this as feelings of restlessness, of being confined, or as craving for something more that you cannot quite articulate. Your soul doesn't want you to push that new life away. She wants you to embrace it. When you let go your inhibitions and freely express yourself, stagnant situations will be cleared out by the powerful release of your energy, which creates openness. Let your inner artist play in whatever way feels fun, raw, and honest for you. It's time for you to experience something new. Yeah, letting go of control isn't my strong suit either, Meg. I am somebody who plans and plans and plans and plans. I don't always put it on paper, but a lot of times it's all up in my head. And, I am the belt and suspenders kind of girl with extra suspenders and duct tape and maybe some zip ties for fun. That's just how I run. It is proved very useful in some ways, and in others, it can definitely hold me back and prevent me from getting out of my own way at times because I don't always want to let go of control when I need to. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. Blessings to everybody. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.